Boom, hey internets. You guys saw the title, so let's get into it. I know that NFT, crypto, and metaverse can be very daunting for a lot of people. It's daunting for myself. And I would also start with this disclaimer, I am still learning. And the funny thing is the people who I'm learning from and are involved with a ton of NFT projects, a lot of them are non-disclosure, like dealing with huge artists, brands, also telling me that they're still learning. So the people who I'm learning from are still learning. I keep my eyes and ears open. There's a lot of good feeds and channels that I'll listen to on the internet to keep me up to date. But via all the movement that's happening with all the aforementioned, you know that NFTs and the metaverse is going to be a huge space. But again, don't take my word for it.
It's the biggest technology that has ever happened in the history of life, outside of things like fucking fire and like the printing press is the one that I keep going back to. Television, phone, fine, but this is like printing press 10.0.
Contemporary artists should really be looking at this technology. I think it's a huge win for the artist financially and brand reputationally and for its early buyers.
There was no option for them not to use the high market art world infrastructure, a gallery, an auction house. I believe this gives them options.
What people are talking about, art, you've covered the Beeple auction, the $69 million sale and all that, but people are misunderstanding the smart contract and what it can do.
These are smart contract visualization, right? Homes and leases. I can't imagine not every ticket being an NFT in a decade. Once I realized it was this big, I only know one move, all in.
So if Mark Zuckerberg, who didn't make a big enough splash with changing the name of Facebook to Meta, multi-billion dollar, one of the richest people on earth, one of the most powerful companies on the planet, changing it from Facebook to Meta doesn't convince you that this is going to be a big part of our future, you should just stop watching the video right now. So a big question that I get asked by a lot of brands, a lot of people and individuals is, how do I get involved and what do I do? Now, usually I'm very conservative. So like I say, don't go putting $10,000 of your life savings onto the latest cryptocurrency that you heard of. All of that is investing. So just like anything else, you should do your research and your due diligence to inspect all of that. But as I continue to discover the edge of where practicality meets the future, I've run into a brand that I think is doing really amazing things and really is dipping your toe into the metaverse and making it very practical. So there's gonna be a lot of aha moments, you might say, that go from here to when Bitcoin and Ether is very much currency that we'll use on a day-to-day basis, when it becomes very practical. Like I've said in other videos, I think it's gonna take, from the time that I'm posting this, it's gonna take at least in the neighborhood of 3 years or so when all of that becomes to normalize more, but it's moving very quickly. So I could be wrong with that estimate as well. But at one point, it will be somewhat normal to use cryptocurrency. Also, our experiences in the digital verse, in the metaverse, is gonna be much more inclusive of our day-to-day dealings with things. And I know that might sound crazy now, but it's going to be an element in the future. So for my guys watching this, t-shirts is a big part of your brand, right? If you have a clothing brand, t-shirts, printables, and some embroidery work is going to be in the neighborhood of 70% of your brand, right? And I suggest that to you until you're doing millions, right? In terms of being a cut and sew company, unless your actual product is something that needs to be cut and sewn, that's gonna be a different conversation. But for most of you watching, t-shirts is going to be a big part of what your product offering is. And so for that category, there's a company called Interapp, and what they do is they'll take the main graphic of your t-shirt, and if you download the app and run your phone using the app over that graphic, it'll actually change to a different messaging that you choose. Now, when I say messaging, it can be a Jiffy, right? An animated GIF. And the killer part is you can attach a unique URL or hyperlink of that Jiffy, of that GIF, that image, that JPEG to another site. So obviously it can be a website, it can be an Instagram, it could be a social media address, but it can also be, what I would urge you to think of is a link to an NFT, right? So this goes along with very simply entering the metaverse and offering a unique experience for your customer. So you can do this with any kind of graphic, but imagine doing a specific drop of a t-shirt and you can now give a special message or a link to a special offering, which is basically what NFT can be via this messaging using Interapp. right? So you need the Interapp application. I was gonna say the Interapp app, but you need the app in order to flash it over, sort of like a QR code, to flash it over the garment to get that messaging. And then it'll shoot them whatever address you would like. But it's an interesting concept to do a specific NFT drop with it. Now, if you're not there and you need education on NFTs, you should definitely hold off on that. But the whole fact that someone can then see an animated GIF from the app is pretty interesting, and if you think about it, or without thinking about it, you're entering the metaverse, hence the title of the video. So this is an example of how technology and a smart company, it's a small company right now in Sacramento, but they created a technology that's very interesting, and it's a value add, right? It's gonna differentiate your t-shirt brand or your clothing brand from other competitors. And you can have a very unique message, whether it's thank you, whether it's more about the story of your brand, whether it's you can say whatever you want, but no one will know until they use the app. So it's very interesting in that way where brands can be mysterious, kind of if you know sort of thing. Only if you're in the club, or only if you're down, or only if you're at day one would you know. And so there's just a million different things you can do. Your creative mind can go crazy in terms of creating a secondary experience from purchasing the merch, purchasing the t-shirts, right? Click down below for more information on Interapp and how you can bring your company into the future right now. Any other questions, please drop them all down below. You can always reach me at this number here. It gets my iPhone directly. Always give you a ton of free game. Please like, please subscribe so more people in the algorithm can see it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.